USB. USB, or Universal Serial Bus, is hands down the most common interface we use to connect devices like keyboards, printers, flash drives, and so much more. The whole idea behind USB was to simplify things. Back in the day, every device had its own special connector. And honestly, it was a total mess. That's why USB was introduced, to become the universal interface that could handle almost everything. Now, USB comes in three main shapes: Type A, Type B, and Type C. Type A is the standard rectangular one you've probably seen everywhere. It's mainly used for data transfer and general connections. Type B is the bigger, bulkier one, and it's most commonly found connecting computers to printers. And here's something worth noting: Mini USB and Micro USB are actually smaller versions of Type B. Mini B used to show up in devices like the PlayStation 3 controller, while Micro B became the standard for charging most smartphones before USB-C took over. Speaking of USB-C, this one is the real game changer. It's reversible, so you don't have to struggle to plug it in the right way. It does everything USB-A can, but faster, with much higher power delivery. On top of that, USB-C can even carry video signals. That means you can connect things like external touchscreen monitors to your laptop with just a single cable. Pretty neat, right? But USB isn't only about the shape of the connector. It also has different versions that determine speed and performance. Let's go back to the beginning. USB 1.0 could only transfer data at 12 megabits per second. Its ports were usually white, but honestly, it's way too slow for today's standards and basically gone now. And by the way, when I say slow, here's a quick reminder. Megabits and megabytes are not the same. 1 byte equals 8 bits. So speeds written in megabits per second are about 8 times smaller when converted to megabytes per second. That's an easy place where people get confused. Moving up, USB 2.0 is still the standard you'll see a lot today. It goes up to 480 megabits per second, and the ports are usually black. Then came USB 3.0 and 3.1, which boosted speeds to between 5 and 10 gigabits per second. These ports are often blue, and you can spot them by the 9 pins inside, compared to only 4 pins in USB 1.0 and 2.0. After that, USB 3.2 pushed things further, reaching up to 20 gigabits per second, and finally, the latest generation is USB 4. It uses the Type-C connector, supports high wattage power delivery, and can hit transfer speeds of up to 40 gigabits per second. Pretty impressive, but right now, you'll mostly find USB 4 on high-end devices. Most laptops and desktops today are still running USB 2.0 or 3.0. Oh, and here's one more detail people often overlook. Some USB ports come in yellow or red. These could be USB 3.0, 3.1, or even 3.2. The color doesn't indicate speed, it shows they have a feature called sleep and charge. That means even if your computer is turned off, you can still plug in your phone or gadget and charge it. Super handy when you don't want to power up your whole system just to juice up your devices. So, to wrap it all up, USB started as a way to make connections less messy, and over time it's evolved into faster, more powerful versions with smarter designs. From the old days of USB 1.0 to today's USB-C and USB 4, it's clear that this little connector has come a long way, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. HDMI? HDMI, or High Definition Multimedia Interface, is what replaced VGA in most homes and offices. Unlike VGA, HDMI can carry both video and audio through one connection, which makes everything a lot simpler. You'll find HDMI ports on TVs, monitors, projectors, gaming consoles, and basically any modern display device. Besides the standard HDMI you see most often, there are smaller versions too. Mini HDMI, which shows up on portable monitors or DSLR cameras, and Micro HDMI, which you'll find on small devices like GoPro action cameras. HDMI has gone through several versions. HDMI 1.4 supported 4K resolution, but only at 30 Hz, which isn't ideal for smooth motion. Then HDMI 2.0 improved that to 4K at 60 Hz, and it also added HDR support for better colors and contrast. The latest HDMI 2.1 is a huge leap. It can handle 8K at 60 Hz or 4K at 120 Hz, which is perfect for high-end gaming or next-gen TVs. The one thing you should remember is that HDMI was designed for a one-port to one-screen setup. That means if you want multiple monitors but only have one HDMI port, you're out of luck, unless you start using adapters or another type of connection. And that's exactly where DisplayPort comes in. Ethernet. Ethernet is the good old wired port we use to connect a computer directly to a router or modem. Compared to Wi-Fi, Ethernet has two huge advantages: stability and lower latency. Here's why. Wi-Fi has to convert your data into radio waves, send those waves through the air, and then your router converts them back into data. That whole process adds delay. With Ethernet, it's just a direct wired signal, no conversion, no interference. That's why competitive gamers often swear by Ethernet connections. When you press a button, the action shows up immediately with less lag. Most casual users stick to Wi-Fi because it's convenient and avoids messy cables. But if you care about rock-solid stability, faster response times, or transferring large files across your local network, Ethernet still beats Wi-Fi hands down. DisplayPort. DisplayPort, or DP, is another digital display interface, and it looks a lot like HDMI. The easiest way to tell them apart is the connector shape. DisplayPort has one corner cut at an angle. While HDMI is common in living rooms and home setups, DisplayPort is designed more for computers and professional monitors. One big feature that sets DisplayPort apart is its ability to daisy-chain monitors. That means you can connect one monitor to your computer, then connect another monitor to the first one, and so on, all from a single DisplayPort output. For video editors, coders, or anyone who needs multiple monitors, this feature is a lifesaver. DisplayPort also offers incredible performance. Version 1.2 supported 4K at 60 Hz. Then version 1.4 pushed things further to 8K at 60 Hz with HDR, or 4K at 120 Hz. The most recent DisplayPort 2.0 is insanely powerful, supporting resolutions up to 16K, though in reality it's mostly used for 8K at 120 Hz. For most everyday users, DisplayPort's ultra-high specs are overkill. That's why HDMI remains the most common standard. But in specialized fields like medical imaging or analyzing astronomical data, DisplayPort is the preferred choice because of its extreme accuracy and performance. Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is a high-speed connection technology developed by Intel and Apple. Think of it as USB-C on steroids, because it combines the shape and versatility of USB-C with the display and daisy-chaining abilities of DisplayPort. You can recognize Thunderbolt ports by the little lightning bolt icon. The first Thunderbolt generation didn't even use USB-C, it was based on the mini DisplayPort connector, and supported 10 gigabits per second speeds with 4K at 60 Hz. Thunderbolt 2 doubled that to 20 gigabits per second. The real breakthrough came with Thunderbolt 3, which switched to the USB-C shape and pushed transfer speeds up to 40 gigabits per second. That's fast enough to handle two 4K monitors at 60 Hz, one 4K at 120 Hz, or even an 8K monitor at 60 Hz. Thunderbolt 3 also introduced support for external GPUs, so slim laptops could suddenly gain desktop-level gaming or rendering power with a single cable. Thunderbolt 4 kept the same 40 gigabits per second speed, but improved reliability, ensuring all certified cables and devices deliver full performance without the quirks Thunderbolt 3 sometimes had. The newest version, Thunderbolt 5, is even more powerful. It can hit up to 120 gigabits per second of bandwidth, deliver up to 240 watts of power, and handle multiple high-resolution displays at once, like 3 4K screens at 144 Hz or 2 8K screens at 60 Hz. Of course, Thunderbolt is mostly found on high-end laptops and desktops, so it's not something everyone will have. But when you do, it's an incredibly versatile and powerful connection. VGA. VGA, short for Video Graphics Array, is one of the oldest display connectors that used to be everywhere in the past. If you've seen a chunky blue connector with 15 pins, that's VGA. It carries analog signals, which means the image quality isn't as sharp as today's digital connections. At its best, VGA can handle resolutions up to 1080p, but even then the picture often looks a bit blurry, especially when compared to modern HDMI. Another thing about VGA is that it only sends video signals, not audio. So if you wanted sound, you had to plug in a separate 3.5 mm audio cable from your computer to your speakers. That's extra cables, extra hassle. In today's setups, VGA is almost completely gone, replaced by HDMI and DisplayPort, which deliver sharper images, better colors, and carry both video and sound in a single cable. Still, you might come across VGA on older projectors or monitors, but otherwise it's pretty much a relic from a different era of computing. Audio jack. The audio jack, also known as the 3.5 mm headphone jack, is one of the simplest yet most essential ports on a computer. It's the port you use to connect headphones, speakers, or even a microphone. Back in the day, computers usually had two separate audio jacks, one for sound output and one for mic input. That's because those ports used a standard called TRS, which could only handle one signal type at a time, either output or input. These days, most devices use TRRS jacks, which can handle both input and output in a single port. That's why you can plug in a modern headset with a built-in mic and have it work for both listening and talking without needing two separate cables. While wireless audio has become more common, the 3.5 mm jack is still popular because it's reliable, has no latency issues, and doesn't require charging. It's a simple port, but it stood the test of time. Kensington Lock. Finally, we have the Kensington Lock slot. This small rectangular port is found on some laptops and is designed to physically secure your device. You attach a compatible cable lock that loops around a heavy object, and then it clicks into the lock slot on your laptop. It's a straightforward way to deter theft in public places like offices, libraries, or coffee shops. In reality, though, not many people use it anymore. Even if your laptop doesn't get stolen, there's still the risk of someone tampering with it, like plugging in a malicious USB drive. Plus, today the bigger threats are digital ones like malware, ransomware, or phishing. So, while the Kensington Lock was useful in its time, it's not nearly as relevant now. So, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when a new video drops.